What's going on, everybody? It's Will from Herman's Outdoors, and in this video I'm going to show you guys my smoked salmon recipe. Now, whether it's for your family, for a party with your friends, a holiday occasion, the smoked salmon recipe is going to be a hit. So let's check it out. The smoked salmon recipe is in two phases. So phase one is making the brine and brining the salmon overnight for 24 hours, and that includes putting the salmon in the brine mixture, which is a combination of brown sugar, pepper, kosher salt, maple syrup, and gin. Now, you think that the gin is an interesting ingredient, but it actually takes the fishy gaminess out of the fish and infuses the sugars, the peppers, and the salts into the fish and makes it nice and moist. So when you take it out and put it on the smoker, the smoke flavor will infuse easier into the smoked salmon. You get that rich, nice flavor and color when you're put it on the smoker. So the gin, you won't taste it in the end, but it acts more in the brining and the smoking process and adds a lot to it. You'll never taste the alcohol of it. It'll be smoked and cooked off before you know it. So it's just a 5-ingredient brine. I'll show you guys how to mix that up. It's a 24-hour process, so I'll put it in the brine safe container for about 24 hours. We'll put it in the fridge and then we'll take it out and then we'll start the smoking process in phase two. First thing you want to do is grab your brining container and make sure it's clean. I've got the Briner Junior here that I use for my smoked salmon recipe. So I've cleaned it out, made sure it's all dried and there's nothing in it. And so we'll start putting the brine mixture in here first. First thing that I like to do is start with the gin, and is to pour 2 cups in the bottom first. Then I like to put my salt mixture in second. So this is about 1/2 cup of kosher salt. Just pour that straight in. And then next we'll add in the ground black pepper, so about a teaspoon's worth, and put that right in. And then last will be the brown sugar. Now at this point you want to pour the brown sugar in, but you also then want to start mixing it with a wooden spoon to kind of mix it up. So about 2 to 3 minutes on mixing up the mixture at this point before we go into the next step, which will be adding the maple syrup. Get in here. You want to get the mixture nice and worked in, and the reason for that being is you don't want the chunks of salt sitting at in the bottom. You want to get that all mixed up. So I usually go about 2 to 3 minutes. I'll even go as long as 10 minutes if I want to get the brine mixture nice and mixed in. If you're in a hurry, a couple minutes is fine. If you're taking your time, definitely stir as much as you can to get all the salt mixed in. Okay, now that you got the mixture, big step, go ahead and pour in the maple syrup. Now, this is going to thicken up the salt and dissolve. This is going to thicken up and dissolve the salt, so you can get a nice, smooth, clean brine. So now that you've got the brown sugar, I'm going to keep mixing this in for about another minute. You should start to see the salt chunks, whatever was remaining, go away. It should leave you with a clean, smooth brine mixture for the smoked salmon. So now that you've got the brine mixture completed, the next step is to actually prep the salmon. Now, I have a certain way of doing it. There may be others out there, but I have my own way, and that is to take out all the bones first. And I've got a little kitchen tweezers that I use to take the bones out of all the fillets first. So in this step, I'm just removing all of the bones out of the fillet, and you can just kind of feel along here on the edge. You can start to feel where the bones start. And then what you want to do is just kind of feel your way along with your fingers and just keep finding the next one. So I'm just rolling my finger over and I can feel it, and I just find it, clip it back, and then find the next one. So there's one. And so I'm going at a decent pace here. If you're if you're doing this, take your time. Definitely doing this when the fillets are frozen is much tougher to do. So definitely want to get them after they've thawed for a couple days. Definitely trying this when they're frozen is not fun at all when taking the bones out. And so the first thing I'll do is take all the bones out with the tweezers, and then what I'll do for each fillet is to cut it into strips about an inch wide. So on the big fillets, I'll cut about an inch wide, and then on the tail pieces, I'll leave about 2.5 inches on the tail because the meat's a little bit thinner and it'll smoke faster. So you don't want to cut right near the end of the tail. You want to leave the tail end piece a little bit longer so it doesn't dry out as easily, because what I'll do is put all the salmon into the smoker at one time and not necessarily take it out trying to look for those pieces when they're done. So you want to make the tail pieces just a little bit longer so that they won't dry out. Alright, so now that you got the salmon cut and deboned, then just give your slurry one final couple of stirs here before you put the salmon in. So then gently, you don't want to throw it in, but you just gently want to just set them in to the brine mixture here. Now, how much salmon you want to put in here, that's a good question. I like to, the way I've got it, I've probably got about 3 pounds of salmon here when I do this. Now, depending on if you're using fresh fish or frozen fish, or you catch a 25 pounder, like, you'll have to figure out how much you've actually got in there. So use like a measuring device, or even just eyeball it, honestly. A little bit extra fish wouldn't be too bad. You definitely can tell. So for this container, I've got it about halfway up in terms of the amount of salmon that I've got in here. And then what I've got is a little stop here, and this will push the salmon down underneath the brine mixture. So make sure we get full coverage underneath there. There you go. And then we'll put the lid on, and we'll put it in the fridge to brine for 24 hours. And that is phase 1 of the smoked salmon recipe. So now we're on to phase 2 of the smoked salmon recipe, and phase 2 is all about the smoking process. So now that you've put your brine in the fridge for 24 hours, the first thing you're going to want to do is to take the brine out, get a sheet or a tray or something with some paper towels lying on the bottom, take the salmon out, and then pat it dry with some paper towels. You don't want that extra moisture or brine mixture to go into the smoker onto the foil. So you want to just pat them as dry as you can before you put them into the smoker. In this case, I'm putting them into my Traeger for the smoking process. Now, so you want to pat them dry first, and then the next step is to actually get the smoker set up. So I'm not going to turn the smoker on first, but what I'm going to do is lay a sheet of tin foil down across the grill grate. Then I'm going to spray it with some non-stick spray, then put the salmon on. Then you're going to sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar on top of the salmon to give it that nice coating, that nice finish, and a little bit of sweetness for the smoked salmon. And then I'm going to turn the smoker on. So, and the tip there, and the reason why that is that you don't want to start your smoker and then try to put everything on, because it takes a little bit to get the foil on, the spray, and then like put all the salmon on there. So what you don't want to do is take a bunch of time with the lid of the smoker open to get all that set up and then close the lids, because you'll lose temperature on the smoker, and then it'll take longer to get back up to temperature. And especially in cold days in winter when you're doing this recipe, you want to keep the heat as much as possible. So I get everything prepped and put into the smoker first, and then I start the smoker. When it's ready to go, I shut the lid and then just let it go. Once you've done that, it's going to be about 3 hours to complete the entire process. Now, it could be 3, it could be a little bit more. It just depends on a couple things. One, what temperature your smoker is going. 2, the thickness of your salmon that you're filleting. So if you've got like a thinner fillet or a thicker fillet, it's going to take some different times. So as you understand like what fish that you're smoking, you'll kind of see what time it is that you want to do the entire smoking process for. And really what we're looking for is something that's not it's kind of in between soft, but it's not too hard. So something where it pushes back just a little bit. You know, you can over dry and over smoke salmon. You can do it a little bit under, which is fine. Some people like that, but once you've gone beyond the point of no return and it is too smoked, it will become too dry and will not taste great. And once you take it out, you're going to want to cool it down to room temperature for about 10 to 30 minutes. And what you don't want to do is put it like in a vac seal or right into the fridge. You want to kind of let the temperature come down slowly, and then you can put the lid on the container or whatever you're storing the salmon. So that's kind of the phase 2 process, and at that point you're done and you've got smoked salmon. So it'll be bon appetit and enjoy. Thank you guys for watching my video on my smoked salmon recipe. Hope you guys are inspired to try the recipe, maybe try smoked salmon for the first time. Hope you guys learned something. Again, this is kind of my way of doing it. There's no right way or wrong way. This is just the way that I kind of looked at one recipe and taught myself, and this is what I've kind of stuck to over the years that I like, and that what others that have had the smoked salmon said that they really like the most. So hope you guys enjoyed the video and the tutorial. Again, like the video, comment, share. If there's something that you want me to do next from a cooking video perspective, let me know, and we'll put it on the list. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, the outdoors is a gift. Share it with others.